Hi, and welcome back to whatever this is, I guess. I'm going to talk about a movie, seriously, that I actually like for once. I'm joined tonight by my co-host, our office cat. And she's going to sit right here and not move from that chair. I'm talking about Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which is a movie I just got out of. Now, I don't know that I have anything unique or interesting to say about this film. The cat has already left. All I know is that I just drove 10 minutes in the opposite direction of my house after getting out of that movie, just so I could immediately record my thoughts on it, if nothing else, so that I can have them as reference for when I maybe saw my favorite movie of all time. When I maybe saw a perfect film. Now, I use hyperbole a lot, and that sounds like hyperbole. I don't know that it is here. I'm still processing all this information, so let me make this clear. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what this video is going to be about. This intro is probably already too long, but that's fine. I'm just going to kind of ramble in front of this camera, because that's what this movie has made me want to do. Now, I don't know if this video is going to have spoilers or not, so right here, I'm going to insert myself saying whether there's spoilers or not. I think this is a movie you should definitely go into blind if you can. I did. And I'm going to say if this video is friendly for you to watch and still do that, or if you should come back to this video after you've already seen the movie. And I'm going to say that right now. So I'm not going to talk about any actual spoilers of the movie, but I'm going to talk about the movie a lot. So I think your best bet is to still not watch the video and go in blind. I'm not going to discuss any plot details, and that's not really the point of the movie anyways, but there's stuff here that I just think, if you really need some encouragement to go watch it, fine. I think you're okay to watch this, but it's a movie you should really watch blind, I think. But that's your informed decision you can now make for yourself, I think. She's staring at me. Okay, she looked away now. Okay, so all the disclaimers are out of the way, so now we can get into the actual video. So, I don't know if you can tell, if you can still see it on my face, but I bawled like a small child throughout the entire last 20 minutes of this movie. I cried a lot. I cried several times, and I don't cry in movies. I could count on one hand the movies I've cried in. And it's not that something sad happened, I cried. It's that it's a movie that emotionally resonated with me so hard. And that's cool, but movies have done that before. That's not new. I want to talk about just why this movie left me with this incredible feeling leaving it, this ridiculous high. Cause that's what I can talk about more than anything, I think. Everybody's already talking about why this movie is good. I don't know how qualified I am to talk about technicals. Maybe a little qualified, but not as qualified as people that do this for a living. But what I can talk about is how this movie made me feel. I think that's the most important thing, and that's not something that's, going to be replicated for everybody. It's what I hold higher than anything else in a film, is how it makes me feel. I don't care about most other things. I do, but I also don't. This movie would still be fantastic on a technical level, on a narrative level, on an acting level, on probably every level there is. But if I didn't come out of this feeling like I did, if I didn't feel like I do, this movie would not be as big of a thing for me. It would not be as big of a deal. But it was, and God, I have to start saying something substantial instead of rambling about feelings. What do I talk about? I don't know. So this film is made by Daniels, which is a directing duo. Their first film, I believe the only other film they made, their first film, was Swiss Army Man. Another movie that just emotional gut punch. Instantly a favorite of mine when I saw it as well. And that's a movie about a farting corpse that Paul Dano drives like a boat. So that honestly tells you everything you need to know about this movie. It's I don't want to say it's just as weird, because it's hard to get weirder than that, but it's in the same vein. So it's a multiverse film, which is an interesting thing that I guess exists now. Michelle Yeoh, which I really hope I'm pronouncing correctly, is the lead in this film, and she does an incredible job. Everybody does an incredible job on this movie, but she is a middle-aged or maybe a little bit older Asian woman with a family. I think a 19-year-old daughter and a husband, and she, has a little bit of difficulty speaking English. They live in America. She runs a laundromat that she lives above, and it's such a cool but very rarely seen anchor for a film like this, because I wouldn't call it an action film, but it's a wild adventure movie is a poor way of describing it, but not entirely inaccurate. So this is not a protagonist we get in movies like that ever, and it's cool. It's awesome. I still don't know how to talk about this movie. I'm figuring it out. It's a journey we're going on together. And she gets pulled, let's say, into some multiverse shenanigans, yeah? And those shenanigans are ultimately a way to, a very unorthodox and fun way to explore the problems in her life and the problems with her relationship, the relationship with her husband, her father, her IRS auditor, and most importantly, the biggest one, her daughter. And oh my God, it hits like a truck. Let me tell you that. You see glimpses into other versions of her lives. There are beats. There are beats you would expect. There's a universe where she didn't get married to her husband, and she sees what her life would be like. She's in that universe where she's more successful. That's a beat you would expect in a movie like this. But trust me when I say it doesn't go in any... I wouldn't say it doesn't go in a direction you'd expect, but it takes a wild path to get there. It's like 20 movies in one, which is crazy. It's like you have almost like an office thriller, and with action and chaos and comedy. It's very funny. It's very funny, actually. But it's funny is still in that kind of gut punch hitting you like a truck kind of way. Ultimately, the movie is just like a pinnacle. This is what I keep getting back to, is it's a pinnacle of the medium of film, which is such a stupid, pretentious thing to say. But it's also what I feel. It takes everything that is cool, that is good about movies, about the medium of film. Everything that they should be is in this movie. And I'm trying to figure out what those things should be so I could actually say something a little more substantial and concrete. It's emotional in an earned way. It's relatable in a way that's not forced. It makes you... God, I don't know what's wrong with you if it doesn't make you feel something. Not every movie is going to make somebody feel something, but I feel safe in saying it's a movie that is really going to make you feel something. There is an aspect of her that probably everybody could relate to. It's funny, it's colorful, it's remarkably well written, it's remarkably well acted. It's a movie that takes a different way at pretty much every point to do something. So it takes all of these things, all of these elements, and it's in one movie, and it's just... God, it's just everything that a movie should be. And that's why I come back to this hyperbolic statement of it's a perfect film. It's the perfect encapsulation of the entire medium of film. And once again, yeah, that sounds a little pretentious, but I am talking out of a place of how this movie made me feel right now. The high that this movie gave me. And is that not the best thing that a movie can do? Is that not the ultimate peak of what a movie should aim for. It should aim to make you feel something, and that's a dangerous path to go on down, because that can be very forced. You can make people feel something, but it can still be done in a very forced and hollow way. This is not the case here. It is a very personal tale that is just going to make you feel something as a byproduct. It's going to, act like it's saying something about everything, but it is coming back to this place of saying something about one specific thing, one very big specific thing. Relationships, this woman's relationship to everyone around her, and how it's okay that God, what was the one quote? One guy says, "I'm useless alone," and the other person says, "We're all useless alone. The great thing is you're not alone." And that's, I think, my favorite quote of the film, and that's what I think is the best quote to wrap the whole film in, to explain the whole film. It's about being alone and not being alone. It's about a lot of things, but also it's about one thing. It's a sensory overload, and at every turn where it could do one thing, it does something else. Like portray the two main characters as rocks that talk to each other as rocks with text on the screen. It tries a different way of reaching you, of speaking to you, every couple of minutes at a certain point in the film, because these two characters are trying to find different ways to talk to each other, to talk to themselves. It's about letting go of that feeling that nothing matters, because everything matters. And I'm sorry, it's so hard for me to talk about this film in specific, so I don't know if there's any value or substance whatsoever to what I'm saying. I'm just trying to convey to you the way this movie made me feel, which is unlike I've ever felt in a film, because it's everything. It's everything I could feel. It's got fun. It's got a great score. It's got great action set pieces set to a great score, to great music. But it just, pretentious again, it spoke to me on the deepest level a film possibly could. And that's why I cried like 5 times during the end of this film, because it hit, and it kept hitting in different ways. It kept hitting at different parts of my life and parts of myself and my relationships with people around me, my relationships with my dad and my mom and my brother and my friends, and it hit everything all at once, everywhere, all the time. God, what a good name for this movie, because I keep coming back to this phrase when I think about it, when I try and talk about it. It really is everything, everywhere, all at once. So let's say this about the film before I wrap up. I think I'm starting to coalesce some coherent thoughts, is that this movie takes an almost, and I don't say this in a negative way, an almost excruciating length of time to set this character up and set her life up. And I count even during the times where things start getting weird as this time where they are setting her up. You are stepping into this very specific woman's shoes that you ultimately come to understand as something so non-specific that it could be all of us. Which is a very interesting thing to do, because she's a very particular person with very broad, relatable struggles when you start to actually think about that. And it's an incredible feat of script writing, I think, to accomplish that, to accomplish telling a story of such a specific character and such specific struggles that she has, that actually also end up being so non-specific and relatable. So we spend so much time getting that across, getting to know that, getting to know her, and then we really start getting hit with everything, because the last act of this movie is like a while, and maybe it feels like longer than it actually was, and because you kind of have 3 acts within the last act. You kind of have the rise, the downbeat, and then the rise and landing once again. You have those things all within the 3rd act as well. So which is what makes that 3rd act, I think, so powerful, because you build and build and build and build to everything. You don't necessarily build and build and build and build to an ending. You build to everything, and then everything turns into a mother and her daughter, telling each other that they are worth being there for in that moment. They are worth being there for each other, by no other merit than that's her mom and that's her daughter, and they love each other, and they are enough for each other, and it throws so much at you, and I mean like sensory overload of flashing clips and themes and messaging and alternate universes and everything. You're having a narrative, a character's narrative, unfolding across different universes, a monologue, a point the film is trying to get across, unfolding at the same time across different universes. And again, this 3rd act goes back and forth, because the 3rd act has 3 acts in and of itself, and it is just this incredible, remarkable feat. And it's a movie I'm going to think about for a very long time after this. It's a movie I'm going to return to a lot. Recency bias is a thing. This could be my favorite movie of all time, because it's just got everything. It has everything. It has it everywhere, and it has it all at once. It's mind-blowingly phenomenal. It is, and that is a statement coming not out of my own pretentiousness. It's not coming from anywhere but the way I feel right now after seeing this movie, and I don't think that feeling is going to change. I don't think that's going to go away with time. I think it's going to be amplified with time. You don't need me to tell you this. You probably already heard it. Hopefully you've already seen it if you're watching this part of the video, but God, you gotta watch this movie. It's just full. Think of a buzzword about film, because I could say them all right now, like a positive buzzword, I guess. It's got all those buzzwords. It's all of them. I won't say them because it is everything, everywhere, all at once. It's all the buzzwords. It's full of heart. It's full of fun and comedy and action and whatever. I don't know. It's great. It's such a great film that I don't care that I've rambled about really nothing of substance or value for however long this video ends up being, because it is more for me than it is for you, to be honest. I want this out there. I just want how I feel about this movie out there, and I want to come back to it and look at that and look at how this movie made me feel the first time I watched it, because I can feel something really, really special here, especially for me. It's one of those movies that has, I'm going to again throw the warning that makes me feel a little better, I guess, that this is a pretentious thing to say, and then I'm going to say that I don't care. It is a quote-unquote life-changing film for me. It's not going to change my life, but also everything is different now that I've seen this film. My perspective on my immediate life, my perspective on film, my perspective on a lot of things is just different now, just a little bit different after having watched this film. It is one that is going to have a profound effect on me for a very long time. It is everything, everywhere, all at once. I loved this movie. I hope you did as well. I'd love for you to tell me what you felt from this movie, how you felt about this movie, if you felt the same way, if you felt differently, how it made you feel, other movies that have made you feel this way. I'd love for you to tell me that, and I'd love to talk about it, because what better thing is there to talk about than the way movies and television and books and comics and stories, what better thing is there to talk about than the way that stories have made you feel? For me, nothing. Nothing is better than that. So thank you for watching this ramble. I loved this film. Goodbye.